Hi, Katya. Good afternoon and welcome to the AIML show today.
Hello, Swati. Thank you for having me. We don't need to shout like that, even though I'm in Luxembourg. But I think our speakers work fine.
It's amazing. I know Luxembourg, my memory serves me right. And when I was working in Belgium, I always wanted to stop by, but somehow missed my chance to stop by Luxembourg. This beautiful country nestled in Europe. So thank you for taking time to join me today to talk about ethics in AI, and you're doing an amazing work with House of Ethics. So tell me a little bit about your career. You've traveled the world, you've worked in New York and New Orleans and been a professor and involved in the world of ethics for many, many years. So talk to me a little bit about your career trajectory and how did you get involved in building this House of Ethics, which is an exciting new thing.
Yes. Well, first, Swati, thank you so much for inviting me to your fabulous show. I'm really, really very thankful for that. That before anything be said on this show, a big merci from Luxembourg. It sounds like the European Song Contest.
No, the pleasure is entirely mine. Thank you.
No. So I started, actually I majored in mathematics. So I have a very scientific mind. And then afterwards I moved into literature and I studied literature on at the Sorbonne for 5 years, PhD and everything. And some people always said, but how, why? Numeric and then suddenly words. But basically it was always about the same goal. It was about understanding a system, looking for solutions. In mathematics, you had a numeric way, and with literature, well, you had words, and words are still in my heart and always have the first place in my heart. So I'm a linguist, to say, and because I think it's extremely important, especially now, Swati, with AI, because what do we have in common with the computers? It's language, it's syntax. It's not the semantics, it's the syntax. It's the way of logically putting signs next to each other, be it coding, be it thinking, be it talking. And that's why I think that language right now is extremely important in order to also to understand where biases might come from, where misunderstandings might happen between countries, between cultures. So that was always very important to me, the literature, the communication part. And then afterwards I moved to, after the Sorbonne, I got hired by the university. It was in New Orleans, Tulane. And so I was teaching over there, and I also did an MBA in leadership, because I was always very much interested in how to convey messages to people, how to motivate people, how to bring people together towards a goal. And I didn't know these techniques. And so the MBA over there, combined, of course, with jazz and good food and
New Orleans wine.
Yeah, exactly. The oysters, the poor boys, the gumbo, everything. And that really made me think that I should pursue in business. So I moved up to New York. And I got hired by Booz Allen and Hamilton, management consulting. And I became the database manager over there. Can you imagine? From literature to database manager. And that was fantastic, because at that time, we are talking about 95. The entire internet, intranet and extranet, and knowledge management came to be. Also supply chain management, all these different techniques came to be. So with database management, previously people always thought about databases, about Excel sheets, or even words with the names and the addresses. And so that was really a pivotal moment where I saw that we can, with data, raw data, clean data, we can do, we can go beyond business. That was actually my thought. Reach people, but you need to have clean, proper data to do that in order to get a clean, proper message out.
That's the million-dollar problem, the clean, proper data.
Yes, billion,
yeah.
billion. Yes, and then afterwards, I stayed there for 6 years in New York, and I came back to Paris, and I became the director of strategy for a technical company, and that was the time where startups began to pop up like mushrooms. So that was the digital transformation. So I had a lot of startups, help them to with their business models and everything. And we also had the new softwares that came out. It was a time of Oracle. It was a time of
SAP.
SAP, exactly. So slowly we moved towards where we are right now. Then came the ERP era, and that was when I started to teach at the Sorbonne. That was really at the beginning of 2000. I was teaching information systems, so the technical part. But then, Swati, something happened in my dream, and I said, and also because the students, I saw that the basic questions were never asked. Why do we do that? It's not how do we do it, but why? What's our goal? Where are the limits? And that's how I softly and gently slipped into ethics. Because I moved away from the technical part, knowing the technical part, but concentrating, focusing really on the message. Why do we do that? How should we do it? What is right and what is not so right to do?
Important questions, because I think while the technical can answer a lot of things with the head, all these questions make you think with the heart.
Yes, and also Swati, the common sense. We need common sense.
Yeah.
You don't need $1 billion surveys to find out that you need diverse teams. You don't need that.
Or you don't need research articles to be quoted, although people want want research to prove it, or to say diversity impacts their top line, right? So
voila, that's exactly it. Let's use our common sense, yet let's use what we have inside also. We have a brain, we have emotional intelligence, and I think we should use that. Now is the time to use it. Now is really the time to use it. Right. And that's why the different narratives, and we come to the last point of your question, the House of Ethics. That's where it all ended, or not ended.
Yeah, so that's your newest job, your labor of love. So talk to me a little bit about what is House of Ethics, and what are some of your goals that you're trying to achieve, and what are some exciting projects you're working on?
So first of all, the name, it's a house. It's very important to us. It's not an institute, it's not an academy, it's a cozy house. Because ethics is made, Aristotle thought ethics for humans and about humans. It's about values, it's about family, it's about friends, it's about us. And that's what ethics is. And in a house, at home, you talk to your children, you tell them, that's not, you shouldn't do that. You should be nice with your brother or sister. You say that. And I think at home, in a house, you have a frank language. You have it's not a park. It is clear. And you also dare to say sometimes, no, this is not right, but in a nice and friendly way, because you care about the people. And this is why we called it House of Ethics. It is a house where it's open to everybody. Old and young, academics, non-academics, professionals, artists, tech people. Myself, I consider myself as a hybrid version of tech and linguistics and ethics. So you see, we don't like etiquettes, labels. We don't like it, because mislabeled items also lead to biases, as we know.
Absolutely.
And right now, our main focus is on awareness. Building up different narratives. That's why when you contribute to the House of Ethics, you absolutely, that's a must. That's the only condition we have. You need to keep your own style.
Yeah.
You need to keep it. You should not be formalized into rules. You need to, if you want to say, hey, you say, hey. There are people out there who understand the hey. We need these people too.
Right. I love it. So you are doing something which I'm doing at a small scale, basically education and awareness about ethics.
Yes. And you can never be too many people to do that. We all need to do it together. I really believe in togetherness. I always believed, even when I was teaching, I never saw myself as a professor. I always saw myself as a catalyst to bring up, to share ideas and to talk about things. It's the discourse ethics. You talk about things. You might not agree with me, but at least we talk to each other. And maybe afterwards we say, that wasn't that bad. Maybe I should explore that. So you build the different bricks in a house. That's the idea. That's really the idea.
I love that. I love that you have this unique perspective, I think, which we can give all the discourses that we want about ethics, but I love the idea where you're saying, unless we come together, how can we expect another person to see our point of view? Because first we need to connect, that the human connection should be there, which is so true. So true, so beautiful. So I also wanted to ask a little bit about, are you seeing any trends in AI for social good, AI for sustainability? What conversations are you seeing happening all over the world about ethics in AI, or, AI used for social benefits and so on?
I don't know if you consider, I very much like AI being used in education. For example, if you consider that as a social
Absolutely.
benefit.
I think it is, it is for benefit,
And because I am very much concerned about the digital divide in education. And we saw that now with the pandemic. We saw that. The remote learning, the remote access was not possible for everybody, for all the children, for all the students.
No, it's not at all. Yeah. And even in the United States, there are pockets where the broadband is still not available. And talk about the global South and some of the Asian countries. And
exactly,
it's even more scarier that kids were not able to get access to education.
Yes, right.
Is there any particular instance in Luxembourg you want to talk about access? Or
I have to say that here in Luxembourg, we are blessed with access, because it's like the Scandinavian countries. We have like an 80–90% of access to computers. We are really very much IT literate here, because, as you know, we have a lot of service industries here. And everybody, nearly 75% of Luxembourgers work either in banking or in the government, for the government. I'm a very rare species. I'm neither working in a bank nor for the government. So self-employed, that's different.
That is, no, but the state of Luxembourg seems to be really good. So obviously we are concerned about the global south and many other countries where the kids couldn't get good access.
Oh, yes. And also, Swati, what I'm concerned about is not just geographically, but also for the elderly.
Mm-hmm.
There is a rapid growing gap between us and the elderly. And what I really like this time in the proposal, maybe we talk about it, I don't know, the AI regulation. It's for the first time that they mentioned two groups. They mentioned the children and they mentioned the elderly. Children through e-toys, very dangerous. In some cases needs to be banned, and also the elderly in care institutes with the care bots and everything, and the data management for elderly. That's something I'm very much concerned about too, you see. So this kind of disparity I'm keeping an eye on, so for the young ones and for the older ones. So I don't know if it answered your question, but
no, absolutely, you bring about some good points that I have not touched upon with previously. The elderly, so important with the care bots and the data management and privacy aspects of that.
Think about it. I had it several years ago because I used to organize in the data ethics class. I used to organize battles, and I gave a topic, and one of the topic was care bots for elderly, and they had two teams, the pro team and the cons team. And it was just to make the students aware of, if you are really a person who is fragile, you might have Alzheimer, you might have dementia. Well, your care bot is constantly recording, capturing any of your moves. So shouldn't we be worried about, I wouldn't like my parents to be recorded nonstop in such a sad state.
And a vulnerable position.
Exactly. And that's why I think this time with the AI regulation, they really mentioned it in the HMI, in an HMI context, which I think is so important and not very much talked about.
Right. No, that's a great point. Yeah, I absolutely think you touched upon what are some AI use cases, what I call the use cases to think about, especially with regards to education, elderly, and children. So my last question is, what advice do you have for people who want to either contribute or participate in the conversations around ethical outcomes of AI products?
Okay. That's a huge question, Swati. You are not nice to me because it's the last question.
But I wanted to use this time to get as much as possible from you, because you are seeped into the whole subject of the ethics, right? So I would love to hear from you how people can participate.
What I would say, it's not from me. I will borrow it. I won't steal it. I will borrow it by a great thinker. He's called Heinz von Förster. He was a cyberneticist. And he said, in life, and I firmly believe that, one word, panopticon. Panopticon means a global vision. It means interdisciplinarity. And nowadays, I think for anybody who wants to work in AI, they should open wide their eyes, open up their ears, try to listen, try to understand, try to mix. We cannot just focus on AI. AI is about philosophy. AI is about human being. AI is about how we walk, how we talk, how we eat, because it's about us. So I think that this panopticon, this global vision, this open-mindedness, that's really something that we need in order to all together and to get people from all the borders, mathematicians, anthropologists, literature people, tech people, in order to find that solution that we need right now. And that would be my advice to, and it always was my advice anyhow, in any kind of situation, be open to the world, be open to new knowledge, be open to the new in general, because that's how we connect things. Tesla, Nikola Tesla, so not the Tesla, the Elon Musk Tesla, the real Tesla. When he was asked back in the 19th century, he was asked, Monsieur Tesla, how do you define a genius? And he said, and that made me really think, because he was a genius. And he said, a genius is capable of connecting the unconnectable. And
Beautiful.
I think that's what we need to do. And that's why Panopticon, we need to look around and we need to find ways to connect the unconnectable. It's a different way of a neural network.
I love the analogy. Oh my goodness, you have given so much insight. And how do you spell panoptical?
It is a pan from the Greek pan, or P-A-N, opticum, optical, from the view. So it's a global view, panopticum with a C at the end.
Okay. Oh my goddess. I learned so much from you today, Katja. Thank you for this conversation and the time you spent with me. And I'm sure we will talk more on LinkedIn. And I wish the very best for the work you're doing with House of Ethics.
That's so nice of you. And I really enjoy talking to you and seeing you. It's my pleasure, really, Swati. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Have a good night, because it's late night there.
Yes.
So, yeah.
My lullaby. It's time for the lullaby now.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Bye now.
Bye-bye, Swati.
Bye.